the unbearable joke of being alive. There's a point in life, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe during a crowded day, when it hits you that none of this makes sense. All the running, the wanting, the loving, the fearing, it feels like noise before a blackout. That's where Emil Cioran lived. A Romanian philosopher of despair. Cioran didn't write to comfort you. He wrote to strip you bare, to force you to look at the void and stop pretending it isn't there. His philosophy can be summed up in a single brutal phrase: life is shit, we'll be erased like idiots and insects. It's not just an insult or a fit of cynicism, it's a diagnosis. Cioran saw life as a wound, a cosmic joke, an error we keep repeating because we're too conscious to stop. He believed existence itself was an act of cruelty, not by any god, but by the fact of being born at all. In this video, we're going to walk straight through Cioran's darkness, not to escape it, but to understand what he saw when he stared into the void. We'll explore the foundations of his pessimism, his view of consciousness, the inevitability of erasure, and what it means to be the idiots and insects of the universe. And maybe, by the end, we'll find something strangely liberating in the emptiness he described. 1. Foundations of Cioran's pessimism. Cioran's philosophy didn't come from abstraction, it came from insomnia. He was a man haunted by awareness. He once said, "To exist is to protest against nothingness." That's the level he thought on. Life, for him, wasn't a gift. It was a mistake that never stopped echoing. Born in a small Romanian village in 1911, Cioran felt early on that human existence was absurd. The world around him tried to find meaning in religion, politics, or progress. But Cioran saw through it all. He saw a species terrified of its own emptiness. In his early work on the Heights of Despair, written when he was only 22, Cioran poured out the raw pain of existing. He called life the tragedy of consciousness in a dead universe. His pessimism wasn't simply a mood, it was an act of clarity. To him, optimism was blindness, and hope was just denial in disguise. He refused to romanticize suffering or sugarcoat despair. Instead, he treated existence like a terminal illness that everyone carries from birth. Cioran believed that life has no ultimate justification. There's no cosmic reward, no higher order guiding us. The very fact that we exist, that we were born, is, to him, the original catastrophe. No one recovers from the disease of being born, he wrote. That sentence isn't poetic exaggeration, it's his way of saying that consciousness itself is a wound that never closes. We were thrown into existence without consent, and every second since has been an attempt to live with that trauma. 2. Consciousness and the burden of being. Cioran's despair wasn't about pain or suffering in the ordinary sense. It was about awareness. Animals suffer too, but they don't know it in the same way we do. What separates us from them isn't intelligence. It's the curse of reflection. We think, therefore we suffer. Every act of self-awareness deepens the wound. He once said, "To be conscious is to be sick." It sounds harsh, but it's true in his framework. Consciousness is like a mirror that can't stop reflecting its own cracks. We're aware of death, aware of decay, aware of the futility of our dreams. The moment we wake up to that, truly wake up, we lose the ability to live naively. That's why Cioran admired animals and envied the insect. They just exist, without asking why. In his view, knowledge doesn't redeem life, it ruins it. The more we understand, the less we can believe in anything. Meaning disintegrates under scrutiny. For Cioran, philosophy isn't a cure, it's a symptom. Thinking too deeply only reveals how empty existence really is. We are all deep in a hell, he wrote. Each moment is eternity. That's not exaggeration. It's the lived experience of someone who feels the full weight of being alive without the shield of illusion. 3. Erasure, nothingness, and the end of us. If there's one truth Cioran clung to, it's that everything vanishes. Not just people, but civilizations, ideas, gods. Everything collapses into nothing. In his book, The Trouble with Being Born, he wrote, "We have lost, being born, as much as we shall lose dying, everything." Birth and death for him are two sides of the same erasure. You gain nothing by existing. You simply begin the process of vanishing. Cioran saw time as a cosmic eraser. Whatever we build, whatever we love, whatever we fight for, all of it dissolves. Empires, religions, revolutions, even memories fade. In the face of that, our daily struggles look ridiculous. He compared us to insects crawling across a page that will soon be burned. The tragedy isn't that we die, it's that we lived thinking we wouldn't. And yet, he wasn't simply being cruel. He was confronting what most of us try to ignore, that our existence leaves no lasting mark. The universe forgets us as easily as it creates us. For Cioran, that realization was both devastating and cleansing. If nothing endures, then we are freed from the lie of permanence. We can stop pretending our efforts will immortalize us, and face the truth that we are dust pretending to have meaning. 4. Idiots and insects, the human farce. Why does Cioran call us idiots and insects? It sounds insulting, but it's one of his most profound metaphors. The idiot represents our foolish arrogance, our endless need to believe we're special, chosen, destined for greatness. The insect represents our true scale, small, fragile, insignificant. Together, they form the tragic comedy of humanity. We are insects who think we're gods. Cioran mocked progress and humanism. To him, they were myths that blinded us to our real nature. He once said that if we could see ourselves from the outside, as the cosmos sees us, we'd laugh until we went mad. We chase meaning, power, and immortality, all while decaying from the inside. We build skyscrapers on quicksand and call it civilization. But there's something strangely beautiful in that contradiction. For Cioran, our idiocy is also our art. Even as we crawl toward nothingness, we write poetry, build cathedrals, fall in love. We're insects dreaming of infinity. That absurd mixture of delusion and creativity is what defines the human condition. The problem isn't that we're foolish, it's that we can't stop trying to make sense of the senseless. 5. Despair and freedom, the beauty of the void. At first glance, Cioran's philosophy seems hopeless, but underneath the despair is a strange kind of liberation. If life truly has no meaning, then we're free from every false one. No God, no destiny, no cosmic scorekeeper, just existence itself. That freedom is terrifying, but it's also pure. Cioran believed that when we stop searching for meaning, we start living authentically. We stop chasing illusions and start seeing the world as it is, pointless, transient, and breathtakingly absurd. The absence of purpose doesn't have to crush us, it can unchain us. We can laugh at the void, instead of fearing it, as he once put it. The fact that life has no meaning is a reason to live. Moreover, the only one. In a strange way, his nihilism is an act of rebellion. To accept meaninglessness and still live, to keep breathing, thinking, and creating in spite of it, that's a quiet form of courage. It's not optimism, it's defiance. It's looking at the abyss and saying, I see you. And I'm still here. For Cioran, that moment of clarity, when all illusions fall away and you still choose to exist, is the closest thing to freedom we'll ever get. 6. The failure of meaning, how hope turns against itself. For Cioran, Meaning isn't a cure for despair, it's the cause of it. The more we try to force meaning into life, the more fragile and hollow it becomes. Every ideology, every religion, every philosophy that promises purpose eventually collapses under the weight of its own contradictions. We invent reasons to live, but they rot from the inside. That's why Cioran saw hope as the most dangerous illusion. Hope, he wrote, is the confusion of the desire for something with its possibility. In other words, we suffer because we believe there should be more, that life owes us something deeper than what it gives. He saw history itself as proof of meaning's failure. Every generation builds its temples, writes its manifestos, wages its revolutions, and each one ends the same way, with disillusionment. Civilizations rise on hope and fall into decay, repeating the same pattern endlessly. Cioran believed that this cycle isn't accidental, it's built into the human psyche. We need meaning to function, but meaning is an unstable illusion, so we live constantly oscillating between faith and collapse. The tragedy isn't that life has no meaning, it's that we keep insisting it must. To Cioran, true lucidity begins when we stop chasing meaning altogether. That doesn't mean we should become apathetic or nihilistic in the shallow sense. It means we stop expecting life to justify itself. Instead of trying to decode existence, we accept it as absurd, raw, and self-contained. Meaning fails, but awareness survives. That, for him, is where wisdom begins, in the ruins of every false certainty. Only then, when the scaffolding of belief falls away, can we stand naked before the void and see it for what it really is, not a tragedy, but a fact. 7. The tender side of nihilism, finding beauty in ruin. Despite his reputation as a philosopher of despair, there's a quiet tenderness running through Cioran's work, a fragile kind of beauty that emerges from the ruins. When he says life is meaningless, he's not mocking it, he's mourning it. Beneath his cynicism is a strange, aching compassion for existence. He wrote, not to destroy hope, but to strip it down until something real remained. In that sense, his nihilism isn't cold, it's human. It hurts because it cares. Cioran found poetry in decay, a kind of tragic elegance in everything that fades. He once described the night sky as a wound glittering with stars. That's the essence of his worldview. Even in emptiness, there's form. Even in despair, there's rhythm. He saw beauty not as redemption, but as resistance. A way of saying, yes, everything dies, but while it's here, it shines. This is the tender side of nihilism, recognizing that the absence of meaning doesn't erase the possibility of beauty. If anything, it amplifies it. Beauty becomes sacred precisely because it's fleeting. In that sense, Cioran wasn't trying to extinguish life's flame. He was trying to see it clearly, without illusion, to look at the human condition with both eyes open, and still find it haunting, absurd, and strangely beautiful. The fact that we laugh, create, love, and dream, knowing full well it all ends, is not proof of our foolishness, but our depth. In the ruins of certainty, we discover an unexpected tenderness that even if life is shit, it's our shit. Messy, fleeting, but undeniably alive. Conclusion: what remains after the end? So what do we do with this? What do we make of a world that erases us like insects, where life itself feels like a cosmic mistake? Maybe the point isn't to find an answer. Maybe it's to live without one. Cioran invites us to stop pretending and face reality with open eyes. Life is absurd, yes. It's cruel, fleeting, and often meaningless. But it's ours. Maybe the beauty of existence lies precisely in its futility. The fact that we love, create, and dream despite knowing it all ends. That's the most human thing about us. we might be erased, but before that happens, we get to feel the absurd wonder of being here at all. We get to look into the void and laugh. Cioran didn't offer hope. He offered honesty. And in that honesty, we might find something even rarer, peace. Life is shit. We'll be erased like idiots and insects. But while we're still here, conscious, broken, absurdly alive, we can choose to look the void in the eye and keep existing anyway.